Thank you for staying with us. The show is still Report Desk Africa, and this is still News Central Television. Now we continue in West Africa, particularly Nigeria, where the population is expected to reach about 400 million by 2050, effectively doubling the current estimated population in the country. Now, with global population reaching 8 billion, and that was sometime November 15, 2022, I believe, Nigeria currently holds the 7th position as one of the most populous countries worldwide. What's the implication of this, and what are the factors contributing to the continuous growth of Nigeria's population? I know I'm not a factor because I don't have any children just yet. But then News Central's correspondent Niyi Omoniyi has put together this report that helps us understand better what exactly is happening to the world's, to global population, and of course to Nigeria as well. Do watch.
Has now reached 8 billion. This significant milestone in human history raises questions about its implications.
It would be a catastrophe if governments can't prepare for what's coming in the next few decades.
Is that this progress is not received equally across board. So there are some citizens within countries who are denied access to basic health care.
It is projected that more than half of the world population growth by 2050 will be concentrated in 8 countries: the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, and the United Republic of Tanzania. Notably, 5 of these countries are located in Africa, with Nigeria having the largest population on the continent, estimated at over 200 million. While reaching 8 billion people is a momentous occasion, it also presents challenges for a country like Nigeria, which represents approximately 2.6% of the world's population. How can a country of this size effectively address common humanitarian issues without accurate data?
Since 2006, after the last one, we have been building our development activities on estimations. So we estimate over 200 million Nigerians. Some people can even query and say, are you up to 200 million?
For instance, Lagos, the most populous city in Africa and the financial capital of Nigeria, is home to over 15 million people. To tackle the issue of population growth, Nigerian authorities are offering free family planning methods and advice to families as the country's population is growing at a rate of more than 3% per year.
Even if my husband is alive, I don't want to get more children again because of hardship. Things is very difficult.
Number of people we are producing every year is faster than our development rates.
As the population continues to grow, the strain on infrastructure becomes evident, leading to a push to conduct a fresh population census.
If you know how many we are, we can plan for education, we can plan for health, we can plan for aviation, we can even plan for transportation.
In fact, development partners will also be willing that we have accurate figures. So, figures that can help us to bring Nigeria as a giant of Africa to be able to move from where we are now to a better position.
The question remains, will Nigeria's rapid population growth hinder its economic and social development? A question begging for definite answers. Niyi Omoniyi, reporting for News Central.
Well, that was our correspondent Niyi Omoniyi giving an update on the population increase in the world and especially in Africa. I mean, I would say that Lagos State, Nigeria is not up to 4 million yet. That's surprising.
No. It said it's about. It said it's below. It's about 15 million minimum, at least 15 million.
Lagos State, Nigeria.
Yes.
For real.
At least 15 million. Lagos is more populated than some countries.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
I know,
Lagos
right?
is at least 15 million.
In fact, Lagos State should be number 1 most populated country.
As a matter of fact, right? The estimate is that if Lagos was a country, Lagos's economy would be the 5th largest in Africa. If Lagos was a country, that goes to show you how populated, and as a matter of fact, how independent, how self-sufficient, if you want to put, Lagos is.
I think, well, anyways, let's not put ideas into the minds of the state. But, well, joining us to discuss this is correspondent Dapo Adegboye. Let's talk about the population, Dapo, shall we? What do you think? I mean, we're inching towards 8 billion, which is quite troubling, looking at the fact that a lot of countries now lack resources, you know, and it's like we have less facilities, less resources. The situation of the living condition of people is reducing, but the people are increasing, and it seems like there's nothing that can be done about it.
All right, blessings. Thank you for having me on the show this evening. And of course, as always, I'm super excited to be on the program. Well, for the population in Lagos, Nigeria, you would also want to agree with me that Nigeria is indeed an amazing place. Yes, one of the reasons why they call us a consumer nation, I believe, is because of the strength of our population. And over the years, what we have seen consistently is the fact that the Nigerian population has been a sort of, well, I call it part of an attractive point for investors. We know that a lot of companies, tech companies, a lot of manufacturing companies, you know, look to Nigeria when it comes to hitting sales revenue. So yes, but what as regards the reason for the surge in the population size, I may not outrightly be able to say, okay, certain factors are responsible, but I think if we are to go back in time, let's start from tradition, the times of our fathers. I think it was a thing of pride for them back then to have as many kids as possible. It was actually a bragging right, right? But I mean, over time, the economy, enlightenment, education has actually sort of changed that narrative. So I think for me, for now, I'll just rest on that.
You know, when you talk about, you can't exactly say what may have contributed to the increase in population. Of course, it's birth rates. You know, we've had huge birth rates in Nigeria, uncontrolled birth rates. I remember sometime in the 80s, the popular Onyeka Onwenu and what's his name now, King Sunny Ade, had this collaboration to sing this song as a jingle that could help drive, well, not population control, but birth control, basically family planning. I'm not a fantastic singer. That's Blessing's department. I would have sung the song for you right now. But you know, basically, I think it's uncontrolled, you know, birth rate basically in the country that's leading to that. Before I go on to my next question, Dapo, everybody has their own role to play. So let me ask you, how many children are you intending to have to help Nigeria control the birth rate and population explosion?
Bernard, are you directing that question to me?
Before,
I mean,
it's you now. It's to you.
Except I hear Dapo.
You know how much they sell baby diapers now?
I don't know, but I'll find out after the show.
But you're a Yoruba man, and I think there's something about Yoruba people that believe that, you know, the more you can have.
Boss, I will give you a straight answer.
Yes.
I don't want it to be more than 2 or 3. Whether they come at different time or at once.
That's a good one. I would say from your mouth to God's ears, if that's your prayer. But the thing now is that, you know, for the country to plan, of course, for provision and distribution of basic amenities, just like was said in Niyi's reports, you know, to the people, and also to ensure the available resources are adequate to cater for you know, the existing number of people. Now, data is required, but just as highlighted in the report, like I said again, the last census conducted was about 26 years ago. So how can Nigeria properly plan when we haven't conducted any census? We don't have proper data. You know, almost everything is done on estimation. Estimated 200 million, estimated 15 million in Lagos, estimated 18 million in Kano. So of course, planning is going to be very, very difficult, don't you think?
Yeah, I was going to say that I mean, the last census, a lot of people will say it wasn't a census at all because even cows were counted. So, I mean, I think that, you know, this is not even, it's a general global problem, but for Africa, Nigeria especially, the fact that we always want to, you know, add to numbers, reduce from numbers is one of the things that is pinching us, because how hard is it to just count people? You know, you start adding inanimate objects, you start adding dead people, and it doesn't benefit us. At the end of the day, it's for our own good. So we, like you said, we cannot know the exact numbers if they don't give us the exact numbers, and then we can't work with that if we don't have that.
Dapo, very quickly, before you come in, I just want to respond to Blessings. Now, there was supposed to be one population census conducted this year, just before the elections happened. Rather, after the elections, just before the swearing in. former President Muhammadu Buhari was still planning to go on that, to undertake that population census. And I remember I did a report on that. And in that report, I got to find out that part of the reasons that some of these figures are estimated and escalated when it comes to census is largely political. So many people, politicians, people in high places believe that the amenities, the share of the national cake that will be allotted to certain people in certain regions has to do with the number of people living in those regions. So they intentionally escalate these figures so that if 1 million naira was coming to their people and they were 10 million in that place, if they escalate it to 15 million, maybe they will have 15 million naira coming in there, which largely is an erroneous belief and clearly also puts planning in those places a bit lopsided, so that the government is unable to plan properly.
The sad thing, Bernard, is the fact that escalation or no escalation, right? We're talking about the fact that we don't even see any of these amenities, right? So if you want to escalate it, okay, let's say that maybe for fraudulent, interests, you want to escalate it to take the gain on top. But then you escalate it, the gain on top we don't see, the one under we don't see. What exactly is the point? The one in between we don't see.
I understand. Dapo, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. So the thing is, concerning that, well, I've also, there are also findings that sometimes these figures are actually manipulated for political or economic reasons.
Of course.
Some would even tell you that the amounts that, have been recorded in the north as the actual population, doesn't really reflect the amount of people there. And that for some reason, maybe there are some, it's been alleged, let me put it that way, that sometimes they even manipulate the numbers, adding livestock and all of that. But the bottom line is this. I think the issue shouldn't really be the amount, of the population, but rather the strength of that population. Let's not forget that China is heavily populated, right? But guess what? They're a productive nation. As a matter of fact, China is a world power. So the question we should be asking is this: is Nigeria's population a producing population or a consuming one? So it's not even in the amount right now. India is also highly populated, but to a very large extent, they are a producing nation. At least we know that they have one of the top pharmaceuticals in the world. All residents in India. We know how many people who, at the end of the day, want to do complicated surgeries that find their way to India. So I think the issue really is not in the size, but what are we doing with that size? Are we maximizing the potential of that size to ensure that it's milked? I sorry, Blessings, before you come. Recently I witnessed something. I was recently at a boot camp that had over 50 young startups, Nigerians, all of them together. You will be shocked that in this same country, you have amazing, brilliant minds. In fact, those 50 startups, right, young people, they have to streamline it from 1,000. So the question again is this: what are we doing with the size? Blessings.
I saw a movie not too long ago. I'm not going to say the title, but it's just basically about the one-child policy thing. Where
I was going to come to that.
If you have more than one child, then maybe I don't know what they did.
Yeah, the government. It was in China, but go ahead. I'll come to that.
So now talking about China at some point brought about the one-child policy, and I just want to know: do you think it's extreme to adopt that policy? Because the truth is, people have children, like ants, especially coming to Africa. You see, it's a thing of pride for some African fathers to have 15, 20 children. Because according to them, if one is not successful, at least one. If all 10 are not successful, the last one will be successful. So, and at the end of the day, they cannot take care of these children. And so they pour them out into the streets. They become government responsibility. And then they become a liability to the society. So Is it extreme?
And then I think it also has to do with our mentality and the kind of things we've passed down from generation to generation. Things like your children shall surround your table, things like so. Now it depends on the size of your table, you know. And then, like Dapo said, back in the day there was a belief that if you have many children, they'll help you on the farm. And just like Blessings also said, if one is not successful, at least the other two would support. Now, Dapo, this is my final response. I'm going to bring what Blessings was saying concerning the one-child policy. Now, the one-child policy was a program in China that limited most Chinese families to one child each. It was implemented nationwide by the Chinese government in 1980, and it only ended in 2016. This policy was enacted to address, I beg your pardon, the growth rate of the country's population, which the government viewed as being too rapid. Final question, Dapo, in 1 minute. Do you think that it will be safe, and do you think Nigeria can actually adopt a maybe 1 or 2 child policy?
No, let's just say 2.
Okay, so let's keep it safe.
All right. Well, I'll just keep it simple. It cannot work for these reasons, cultural and religious.
True.
Yeah.
For instance, in Yoruba culture, they will say, meaning that you don't count the amount.
That's the problem. Please interpret that, Dapo, for those who don't understand Yoruba.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
You don't count the amount of kids you have, right? So as they come, you keep thanking God. And there is even a twist to it. There's a caveat. Some would tell you that the child has come from heaven with what he will survive with on earth.
I've heard that before. Anyway, thank you so much, Dapo. I would have loved us to continue.
To deal with people with that mindset. And then when you come to the religious angle, there's a particular faith that will tell you, so far you can take care of those kids.
Keep having them.
Be fruitful and multiply.
I understand. At some point, you may start doing long division.
But what I think is happening, though, is that the economic reality is allowing some people, you understand, sort of firm up in that regard. So I remember then, when we were still young, when you ask our fathers, they'll say after 6 or 4 kids, they are okay. Now, you ask all the Gen Z families, they are telling you 2. Some will tell you for their mental health. You know,
honestly, I totally understand.
I think the economic realities are making people actually shift ground.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, Dapo. We'll have to go now, but thank you so much for your input on this. We'll have Shewa on standby to give us the forecast, and I think we'll go straight to her.